Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie McCarter, the Senior Associate Director of Graduate Recruitment here at the George Washington University in the Office of Graduate Studies for the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences. We welcome you to our Industrial Organizational PhD Program Information session. I want to talk first quickly about GW before we jump into the program. Can someone hit next slide for me? I'm having trouble. Thank you. Thank you. So the George Washington University is located in the heart of Washington, D.C. As the largest institution of higher education in the U.S. Capitol, GW welcomes 11,000 undergraduate students and 14,000 graduate students from more than 130 countries, creating a vibrant and global community. Our main campus is just 4 blocks from the White House and close to world-renowned government agencies, nonprofits, and private sector organizations, giving students unparalleled opportunities for internships, research, and career advancement. Within GW, the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences is the largest academic unit. We're home to 5,000 undergraduates and over 2,000 graduate students, more than 90 graduate programs, nearly 500 full-time faculty who are dedicated to collaboration, critical thinking, and applied learning. With an average of 20 million in annual research funding, CCAS students and faculty advance innovation and tackle real-world challenges. Now I'm pleased to turn it over to faculty from the IO psychology program, as well as one of our current students in the program.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ishan. So I will start our presentation with the brief agenda and talk about overview of IOSEC. The three faculty members, we are going to each will talk in different session, different topics. And we also have two graduate students joining us today to share about their learning and life experience in this area. And so first of all, I would like to give everyone kind of very brief overview of IOSpsych. So as we all know that industrial organizational psychology program, they have two kind of main sides. So one will be the industrial psychology side. And so some of the main topics will be selection, performance appraisal, training, job analysis. And then the other side will be the O side, so organizational psychology side. So some example topics will be work motivation, leadership, teams, job satisfaction, employee well-being, work-life issues. And so, like most other IELTS doctor programs in the country, GW IELTS program is also kind of well balanced in both areas. And so, GW IELTS PhD program actually is one of those oldest program in the country. And so some of the really famous colleagues who really contributed to the program includes James Marcel and Sales Lolly Hunt. So there were several other colleagues who made a huge contribution to this program. So next, Dr. Tiffany Bisbee, we are going to briefly introduce our program and our career options, and then our training model. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Ishang. Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Bisbee. I'm one of the IO faculty here at GW. I think that one of the things that you'll notice about our program versus others while you're exploring what, other programs might interest you is that our program's pretty small compared to others. We are a smaller, more intimate kind of program. We admit about 2 to 3 students per year. And so you kind of work one-on-one with your faculty advisor. But also, we encourage the multiple mentorship model where you will be working in other research labs as your interests kind of refine and you learn different things. Another thing that I think really defines our program is that we do the scientist practitioner model really well. You'll see while you're exploring your schools that some are really focused on the scientist portion of that, where they teach you how to do really rigorous research and develop theory. Whereas other schools might be really focused on the practitioner side of that, where you're required to do an internship and everything is really applied focused. Here at GW, I think we really do both well. We balance that really well, as you should, because your science should be based on the things that are going on in the real world in practice. And practice should be based on the science and real theory-driven, evidence-based kind of work. So we want those two things to work together. So I really pride our program on doing that very well. So our students, they are not required to do an internship, but many of them do to get that experience and to also get a paycheck, right? We have really good relationships with industries in the area. So, students have in the past interned with the Army Research Institute, with Geico, ICF, Marriott, PDRI, the Office of Personnel Management, the World Bank, and they often go on to continue working there afterwards, after they graduate. We have a really strong network of alumni, and they often will reach out to us and say things like, "Hey, do you have any students that would be good for this internship opportunity that's coming up?" Because they know that good students come from GW, right? So they're often working at those places right now. We also have people working at Google, at the State Department, at Force Marsh. Our most recent academic graduates are working at University of New Mexico and Michigan State University, so really strong IO programs and OB programs. And that's kind of like an overview of what sets our program apart from others. I think we can move to the next slide, whoever's in charge of this. Oh, we put together a little virtual campus tour since many of you may not be familiar with the area. I think another thing that stands out about GW is that our campus is really integrated into the city or the district of DC. So you'll see that reflected here, and I'll kind of narrate over the different parts of the video that we'll see. I think we can get that started. Hopefully it will clear up as we press play. Perfect. All right. So this is just here in the middle of campus through the walkway. This video was taken, it looks like the middle of winter. So right now these trees are in full bloom and it's actually really pretty. They're changing color now if you're not from a state like where we see season change. This is the org sci department. This is where faculty offices are located. This is where your mailbox will be as a student and where the admins are. Our office is actually integrated into an old like 1800s row house. So our building is a real historical feature in the city, in the district, and that you can't really make a lot of changes to it. So we work with what we got a lot of times. This is the conference room where we hold a lot of classes. We are entering the grad lab where grad students are welcome to hang and decorate. So, we like to decorate for all holidays at once, like you see here. We'd like to meet around here. I mean, it looks a little different now, but students kind of have full reign of this space. You have individual workspaces where you can go. We can run studies in here. You can meet with students if you're a teaching assistant. There's a little area where you can make coffee or tea. There's a fridge. This is just another feature on campus here. Now we enter the library. This probably looks familiar to your library at your university as well. You can find anything you need here. You can reserve some study rooms, meeting rooms. There's really something for whatever you need. And we also have library staff that's dedicated specifically to the IO program that you can go to for advice with things like reference management software, for instance, or different databases to search for journal articles. This is one of those study rooms you can rent out. This is Tonic. It's like a little bistro bar area right across the street from our lab and offices. This is campus, what you're seeing. I know it looks like a city, but it is, regular student life going on here. Here at the Student Center, I'm really only ever in here to get food. So I'm sure there's other things that you can do here, but this is often where people will congregate to sit and eat. And this is another area for food. As you can see, there's a lot to choose from. This is Western Market. If you are a student, there are options for you to load money onto your GW card, and there, it works at all these restaurants too. And this is just Old George, Statue of Georgia. That's it. All right. I hope that was helpful to kind of see and imagine what your life would be like here as a student. So, our core IO faculty consists of me, Dr. Yishang Pong, who you heard from earlier, and Dr. Lynn Offerman, who you will hear from later. We also have affiliated program faculty who work in the business school, but are also work with our program. That's Dr. Philip Wertz and Dr. Hermana Guinness. So each of your core IO faculty members runs their own research lab. My research lab is called the Collab, that stands for Collaboration and Organizational Learning Lab. We study all things teamwork and collaboration. We figure out what helps people work well together. We also do a little bit on learning and training in the workplace and how to make that better. And I also study a little bit on safety and improving processes that connect to, high stakes organizations and improving processes there. And then various projects within the way each faculty member runs their lab varies, which is why we like you to get experience from all of us. In my lab, I typically run the lab as a space for students to collaborate and share what projects they want to work on and kind of connecting them to the resources, whereas other labs might run it differently. So I'll let each faculty member talk about the things they study and how they run their lab. Let's do lead lab next.
Hello, this is Lynn Offerman. I am the coordinator for Lead Lab. Our lab studies, as the name implies, excuse me, leadership in a variety of different contexts, leadership in teams in our current diverse world. So there are a number of studies that we have focus on inclusive leadership, on virtual communication, on multidisciplinary teams, particularly multidisciplinary science teams in terms of how you lead those, how you coordinate those. We're doing some longitudinal work in terms of paths to leadership. I have a data set that allows us to examine over a long time period in terms of early life experiences that may lead to leadership, particularly leadership among individuals from a variety of different perspectives. One of our students is interested in doing some cross-cultural work with Ghana. She may say something about that later. In terms of also looking at leadership as an area and the issues we have right now with a lot of construct confusion. That is a lot of our models sound an awful lot alike, and they have some things that we need to kind of separate out and figure out what is really, really driving effectiveness in terms of organizations. Like Tiffany, I think we certainly in my lab, ideas come from the students and work collaboratively. I think we all encourage collaborative research among the students. We also encourage generally a very collaborative and collegial environment in students. We do not push a competitive environment. We are a collegial environment. And so that is the way certainly that I run my lab, and I think just in generally the way the program runs. So I'll turn it over to Yishan.
Hi everyone. So I'm the director of the SOHA lab, which stands for Stress and Occupational Health Across Lifespan. And so I have two different lines of research interest. So the first line focuses on general like occupational health issues like stress, well-being, and also the second line focuses on like aging and older work issues, some general like work-family issues. And so some of my recent research projects focus on proactive work behavior, job crafting, and how employees can age successfully in the workplace. And so as Lynn and Tiffany mentioned, like our labs, sometimes we do overlap in some certain kind of like research project, and we do encourage students to work in at least like more than one or like labs at the same time. So some of my project may also focus on like how leaders can manage their work uncertainty and age successfully or manage their late career development. So the topic itself may be related to more than one research labs. And so students, they can work with more than one faculty member at the same time. And so we may have some ongoing project initiated by the faculty member, but also at the same time, we do encourage students to propose their new idea, maybe lead some independent research project by students as they move to the later stage, become more senior independent in the program.
That's a really great point, Yishang. I think one of the differences you'll see from moving from undergrad to graduate, especially PhD program, is that you're really in the driver's seat and your ideas are the ones that are going to get you through the program. So while the labs give you a space and often the opportunities and funding for research at times, we're really relying on you to seek out your interests and answer the questions that you think are interesting. That's really the value in a PhD program. And we are quite collaborative, like you've heard each of us mention. You'll see that other schools are more competitive in the sense that you are assigned to one advisor, and that is the only person you're allowed to work with while you're here. So we're nothing like that. We definitely encourage collaboration. We are stronger in numbers. So that's our research labs. Now you're probably here because you're wondering what's required for admission. How do you get into this? So our deadline to submit the application online this fall is December 15th. We do require you to do the GRE general test. You don't have to do the specific psychology test unless you want to. Not required though. We require you to have a bachelor's degree with a major in psychology or something similar to that. Um, and that's pretty broad, I'd say. We want, of course, transcripts from all of your institutions that you've been to. We don't have a minimum cutoff for the GPA for the students who can enter the program, but we say that the average is somewhere between 3.5 to 4.0, and that's of our current students. We don't require you to have any internship or work experience. We like to hear about it if you have had that, and you can include that in your statement of purpose if you find that relevant. Which is another thing that we require you to have 250 to 500 word essay telling us your purpose. Why do you want a PhD in IO psychology? And why do you want to do that at GW? So in that statement, you can talk about the things that you've done in the past, but what we really want to know is what you want to do in the future. So that's my tip for writing a good statement of purpose. We also ask you to submit 3 letters of recommendation from people that you've worked with. Typically, that's going to be faculty members. They could be instructors or people that you've done research with. They can also be employers, anybody who can really speak to your potential as a successful graduate student. Once we've submitted all of that information, the faculty review all the applications, and then we narrow it down to whoever we're going to interview. So we do that once, and then after those interviews, we are usually on the phone. We do like a second round of interviews. And that whole process takes place from like mid-January to mid-February. And you can find more information at the link there.
Okay, so now I'm going to give you a little bit more information about our program structure. So for any student who are going to study here, actually like your journey in the program will be divided into 2 different parts. So the first part would be your pre-candidacy period. So which usually would be the first 3 years, where most of the students are going to spend the time finishing all the required like coursework. And so that's a total of like 72 credit hours, and 42 credit hours will be required courses. Okay, so some of those will be like those required courses, usually students are going to finish in the first 3 years. And then there will be elective courses, and then there will be dissertation research credit. And so at the end of your second year, usually students would be expected to finish their second project, which is equivalent to a master's thesis in other programs. And so we're doing that slightly like different here. So like for the second project, you don't have like a committee, like you don't need to really propose, but you're going to do this independent research project with a faculty advisor from the beginning until the end. So when the second project, like the paper was written well and it's ready for the extra review. So the paper will usually be sent to another faculty member for the extra review. And so if you pass like the review, it's like you are good to move to the next stage. So you can study for your comp exam. So the comprehensive examination usually will occur in the summer of the third year. So very likely in late May and early June. And so for students who successfully pass their comp examination, they can now call them like the PhD student candidate. So in that time, like most students, Some student may also have like maybe they have their internship outside. So it's relatively more independent after you pass your com. And you can find a little bit more information about um, like the dissertation like procedure, like specific like steps, like how you can find your committee member, when you're going to submit different forms, and we're going to have more information on the website and also in the student like handbook. Okay, so specifically in terms of course requirements, like we put a lot emphasis on student like training in research method and statistics. Okay, so there will be require like method and statistics class, like two of them, and then there will be psychometric class like as part of this training, and then there will be three graduate level statistics courses. Okay, so usually students in our program will take statistics class with psych students in the SEM and the multiple regression class. And then there also will be specific higher level, like more advanced statistics class from the stat department, from educational like school. And we will also probably have another machine learning class, which will be developed from the psych department. And so students, they can take a number of different classes, which will fit like with their career interest. And then there will be other more IELTS like content class, which like will be organization behavior, organization like theory class, and also would be selection training, like a number of those really important IELTS psych related class. And then as part of the training, student may also have the opportunity to take some like psych breadth class. So like cognition, social cognition, attitude class, and there will be other related class offered like career, like their training while they're in the program. Okay, so Lynn, do you want like yeah? I think you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, I just did. Excuse me, funding. Most students will enter the program with 2 years of support through internal graduate student teaching assistantships. So you might be a teaching assistant for our undergraduate IO class, our undergraduate uh, Teams class, or sometimes an introductory communications class. Depending on your GPA and your boards, if it's high enough, you might qualify for a fellowship, which gets you a little bit more money and also gets you out of teaching assistantship for some period of time. There's also availability depending on what the faculty you're doing in terms of grant funding, although that's going to be probably more typical in your third year and beyond. So after your first 2 years, you've taken some courses, you've gotten some good experience, and for those of you that are interested, particularly in practice or going the applied route, you may receive funding your third year and beyond through different types of paid internships. We do have an arrangement with the Army Research Institute out in Northern Virginia, and they are always looking for our students because they love them and they do a good job, and they do a lot of work with particularly in areas of leadership and teams, all the areas that we work in, including the I area as well, in terms of test development and measurement is also. So they have a lot of different types of capabilities and are very interested in our students. I should say that that opportunity in particular is only available to U.S. citizens. Other internships may be through consulting firms, or other types of organizations like Marriott, like Geico, that have a local kind of presence. In addition, those years, we also are able, if we have faculty have grants, to put you on and funding you through a grant. All of these assistantships or grants typically require you to work 20 hours a week. So they're not for part-time students, it's full-time students only. There is a link at the bottom there that you can see in terms of getting more information on funding. And so we encourage you to take a look at that. And I think from here, we're going to go and if you move there you go. We have two students here with us. We have Greg and Giselle, two students here who are happy to share with you a graduate student perspective of what life is like with us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that introduction, Len. So hello everyone, I'm Greg. I'm a second year student in the IO PhD program. I came in as well as Giselle, so we're both the same year. And yeah, I guess I'll just chat a little bit about the program and things of that nature. I'll say my first defining thing is that graduate school is very, very different from undergrad. And there's an adjustment period though. And I'll say that the faculty and the way classes are structured and everything is very supportive of that kind of change. You learn a lot really quickly and you kind of need to get a lot down, but there's a space for that to happen. This is especially true for like reading. I know I didn't really know how to read research articles or do anything of like that sort. Or like how to pick out the most important information, stuff like that. And so coming in when, you have 5, 6 research articles assigned per week per class, it can feel very overwhelming. But by talking with my fellow graduate students who were above me in the program, as well as faculty and those kinds of things, I was able to learn really how to read, which is, funny to say at the PhD level, but you truly do learn how to read again and like what's really important when you're bringing out research papers. And so I think that kind of speaks to the program culture overall as well. The faculty were mentioning how collaborative it is, and I would absolutely echo that. There are times when we go out for dinner together, as in the graduate students, we all go out for dinner together, or we go get drinks, or kind of anything of that nature, and we're always there to help each other. Graduate school isn't easy. Getting your PhD is not easy by any means, and there are lots of struggles along the way, but I'm just so, so thankful for the other people in the program who are able to kind of lift me up and help me throughout those processes. And that's especially true when it comes to research as well. It's a very collaborative environment there too. I There's countless days where I've just been like randomly throwing out research ideas with my fellow graduate students, and then we just kind of keep refining and refining, and then just come up with a really cool and unique study that we think would be fun to run. And sometimes they get run, and sometimes they don't. I think we all have different like sheets of research questions that we have, but yeah, I mean, I just really enjoy it. So I'll give Giselle a chance to speak too.
Hi everyone, I'm Giselle. Just like Greg said, I'm a second year and I am in the lead lab, and my studies and my interests center around multinational organizations, culture, um, self-presentation, especially as it concerns leadership and things of that nature. In terms of coming to GW and being at GW, I would say the hardest thing, starting all the way back from the application process and getting it and all that, was probably figuring out where to live. Me and Greg have two different living situations. So if you have questions about that, we would love to answer those. Other things that I think are important to know are that it really does help to have a community when you are in grad school. And at GW, or in this program specifically, I will say the lack of competitive nature, I know you've probably heard it 20 times from us right now. It really does help to be able to sit and talk to people who are in the cohort above you, your peers, and be able to say, hey, I don't know what's going on. And people will be able to share ideas and answer questions and things of that nature. Advisors are always willing to help out, provide you information, share opportunities, and things like that. So that's always really, really nice. In terms of getting adjusted your first year and going throughout the program, I've gotten the sense that my advisor, as well as the rest of the faculty, are there throughout the entire process, and that's been really helpful. If I have a question, I always ask. I'm not of the mindset that I should sit in confusion, and it has served me well. And I would suggest you adopt that mindset as well. Other things to note are that DC is very different from a lot of places, depending on where you're coming from. So, apart from your academic life, it's also important to consider what life for the next 3+ years is going to look like if you come to GW. And we would love to answer questions about those as well. But academically, I think GW has been a really good place to be able to learn and also just dive into my different interests, even within IO. So it's great to meet y'all, and would love to answer some questions.
Thank you. So we actually also have two other three more senior students in this session. So, but to save your time, so like we will let them to speak up like later if we have a remaining time in the QA session. But for now, like just to, like maybe we will move to the Q&A session, in case students have more questions. Um, so here is the last slide for contact information. So the first, like the OSC, that's what the department email. So if you have any specific question regarding the department, that email or that phone number, you can call the department if you have like some specific question related to the department. And then in terms of the program, like say specific question about the IELTS doc program, you can always reach out to me. That's my personal email. And then if you have any specific like technical issue or like the application related questions, like you're missing any document, you can also reach out to the recruiting team, and they are really helpful. And they can get back to you really quickly for those like application related questions. And also Joselle and Greg, like their personal emails here. So if you have any remaining or specific question about general like life and other questions that related to like a student life in this area, please feel free to reach out to them. And I think like right now, like we are ready to answer any questions from our attendees.